They call it Cloud Centers of Excellence. They wanted centers of excellence in Dallas, over in Hungary, one in Reading here in the UK. They wanted one in Chennai in India, and other locations. Singapore was a location we looked at as well. So I did a numerous different kind of projects with Nokia, but also worked with a company called Konica Minolta. I helped them build a center of excellence in Milan for robotic assistance, which was probably the most technical project I've ever done.
What are some in-demand skills right now in SEO and AI that people either can lean in towards more, that they can kind of grow their business out of?
Most of the opportunities that you'll find will be through LinkedIn, and of course through checking your emails and whatnot.
What are some good ways for candidates to stand out in the interview phase, especially when it comes to SEO and AI candidates? Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode where I'll be interviewing experts and entrepreneurs from around the SEO world. In today's episode, I've got a bit of a special guest for you. He's my business partner over at SEO.Careers. He's been involved in the IT and AI recruitment game for nearly 15 years now. He's worked with some of the biggest brands, putting some of the biggest AI teams globally, and he's now working in SEO, digital PR, and AI with me, recruiting some of the biggest jobs from around the UK, US, and Europe. Please welcome to the channel, George Sunderland, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, Charles. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Good to be on the channel. Yeah, really good to kind of talk about what we've been doing recently and how we can help the SEO community, what we've been up to, and yeah, I like everything you've been doing on the channel. So look forward to it.
I appreciate it a lot. So do you want to kind of jump in with it and kind of give people a bit of an explanation on how you got started in recruitment and eventually kind of working your way now to SEO and AI recruitment? And you built a whole AI team at Nokia as well.
Yeah, I've built a couple of AI teams actually. These guys were more, or guys and girls were more on the side of kind of developing the solutions from scratch. In Nokia, for example, the artificial intelligence application was on managing the network, you know, with different loads on the network, how, you know, they can spread load across different components within the mobile core, that sort of thing. But how did I get started in recruitment overall? I was actually an IT guy. Back in my college days, I studied IT. I'm a massive nerd when it comes down to it. I love computers. I love gaming. I'm very kind of very keen on IT overall as a concept. And back in college, I was really interested in web development. It's kind of your front end, back end. I liked PHP, but also I think, like a lot of developers, the front end stuff was very interesting to me. HTML and CSS to be kind of the main two. But yeah, so I did that for 2 years. Left college and I applied to be a web developer at a local agency where I lived at the time. And in the interview, I was interviewing with a manager, or a business owner, I should say, who had two different businesses at the time. One was a web development consultancy, and the other was a recruitment consultancy in IT. After going to the interview, we got talking. We hit it off really well. And to put it quite simply, what I think happened is the business owner at the time, noticed how I've always grown up in businesses and working for companies where I'm face people, I'm talk to people. So he thought, why don't you give recruitment a try? Well, why don't you take a shot at this? I know web development's interesting, but it might not be as stimulating, to put it nicely, as you'd like it to be. So I went straight into recruitment from there. I accepted the offer that he'd made me after that first interview, and went straight into things. Initially, that was an apprenticeship, which is kind of you don't really hear much about apprenticeships in recruitment, but here it is. You know, they needed staff for, you know, a good price, and I was there, and I learned quite a lot. I was there for about a year. I was supporting digital agencies at the time. That was very much kind of, they were more focused on web development than content. Their sales and their services was all about how can we make your website look really cool. That's pretty much as far as it went. Recruiting web developers, infrastructure people to make sure the back end's all supported, and everything in between, including sales, product management, that sort of thing. After that, I'd done it for a year, and I was in a situation where I needed to move on, move upwards. I achieved my, I can't remember what level it was, but another IT kind of qualification at the time. And I moved to a consultancy, which I ended up staying at for about 8 years. I started off as a sourcer, someone finding CVs, interviewing people, and then handing it off to the more senior recruiters to speak to clients. And that's really where it started, where I kind of got into what would you call the hot topics in the industry. At the time, it was Internet of Things, big data. Cloud was only just kind of coming out then. The idea of cloud tech was really new, so that was super hot. And I started working with clients that were global companies, real kind of heavy hitting blue chip clients that were on the kind of the forefront of developing new technology, which I loved. Being a geek, throwing back to kind of where I come from at college and growing up as an IT nerd, a bit of a geek, that was perfect for me. During that time, I had the opportunity to work for most of those years with Nokia, which was some of the best experience I've had. Great company I worked for at the time. And initially it started as a cloud, they call it cloud centers of excellence. They wanted centers of excellence in Dallas, over in Hungary, one in Reading here in the UK. They wanted one in Chennai in India, and other locations. Singapore was a location we looked at as well. So we recruited heavily for them. It was one of the biggest projects I ever did. There was about, I think, 50 people in total. Most of them were cloud experts. And we delivered it. And I found myself in a scenario where I started the project. I was sourcing CVs, sourcing candidates, and I finished the project pretty much directing it and kind of being responsible for speaking to the client, making sure that, you know, everything's in line, making sure we're delivering CVs at the right level, that sort of thing. So after that project was completed, it was really successful. It was great for everyone at the time. They started venturing more into artificial intelligence. These were more the developers, the coders, kind of the techies that were creating artificial intelligence to manage networks, rather than what we describe as chat GPT. It was kind of more machine learning. So we had a few different roles then. A lot of the roles were kind of senior positions where they were just discovering what the potential of the technology was. We've got the idea, we know what we want to do. George, can you go out and help us find people to actually execute on this? So I did a numerous different kind of projects with Nokia, but also worked with a company called Konica Minolta as well, which was quite soon after. I helped them build a center of excellence in Milan for robotic assistance, which was probably the most technical project I've ever done. And I can't remember which Rocky it was. It might be Rocky 2, but you remember, you know, the robot that brings you a cup of tea and kind of like, gives Rocky his breakfast, that sort of thing. That was what they were making at the time. And there was a university in Milan which specialized in AI. I was working with Konica Minolta, and we ended up recruiting a team of like 8 to 10 people that were specialized in hardware and software to create this robotic assistant. Same again, it was very technical stuff. These guys were creating everything from scratch. And that was another successful delivery. So that's kind of my main experience in AI so far. It's something I was doing for about 4 or 5 years before I went into the more corporate world, you could say, of solution architecture and service-driven business.
Yeah, for sure. So you talked about a lot of different skill sets there. What are some in-demand skills right now in SEO and AI that people either can lean in towards more, that they can kind of grow their business out of, or candidates can lean more into so that they can grow their potential earnings and stuff from their salary, right?
Yeah, and it's with SEO, of course, it's based on content. It's based on language. It's what tools can you use on a day-to-day basis to help you be more efficient. That's kind of what it boils down to. A lot of people are doing this. I think the number one issue is people aren't really understanding how to present it properly in their CVs and kind of how to communicate that to potential hiring managers and companies looking for people. But of course, sign up to different AI platforms, different versions of ChatGPT. We all know there's kind of like 7+ different versions out there at the moment of these kind of language models. Play with them, practice with them, work with them. Try and, if you're in a situation where you're not using them in your day-to-day work, do something that we call evangelization, where go to work and be the person that's driving the adoption of AI. That can be really, really good to have in your CV. If you were the person that was responsible for helping a company transition into AI, you can really scale your career very quickly. And you might find yourself leaning out of SEO slightly and into kind of consulting around this AI stuff. But yeah, the biggest thing is practice, even if it's at home, just doing stuff for personal projects, and communicate it on your CV. Make sure you've got some bullet points, some communication around what platforms you've used, how long you've used them. It's always good to give you a rating out of 5. For example, this is the best thing. I'm really good at ChatGPT, Gemini. I'd say I'm more of a 3 out of 5. And that really kind of excites hiring managers, because a lot of these guys, AI is something they read in the paper or they see on LinkedIn, or it's not a topic that is currently being acted upon at the moment. So yeah, it's all about using it as much as you can in day-to-day life and communicating it properly.
Getting kind of prepared for it. What personal traits would you say SEOs could improve upon so that they could get an increased salary as well? Because I know that there's a lot of SEOs are kind of naturally introverted, which obviously leads to even not potentially asking for an increase in wage or asking for a promotion and things like that. But even outside of that, is there, communication skills, writing skills, personal development skills, confidence skills, all of those kind of things? Do SEOs generally, when you're speaking to them, need to be more present and focused on those things?
Yeah, there's always a divide. You get the more entrepreneurial people that are, that you can see they have a natural knack for business. They communicate well. They treat everything as a project in their lives. They know how to really kind of manage their day to day. But then there's the other side, which is something I'm very experienced of speaking to people like this, which is the developer. It's kind of the developer style person, where it's like, yes, I'm an introvert. I spend my weekends kind of relaxing. I like to spend time on my own, doing what I do on a weekend, playing video games and kind of spending time on your own. It's really good. Those people, yes, it's be more extroverted in your professional life. You don't have to do it personally. Everyone has kind of their social battery. Drain some of it in your work life. Make sure your LinkedIn is up to date. Make sure you've got a photo on there, a professional looking photo. It sounds really straightforward, but the amount of candidates that I see that don't have their socials in order on LinkedIn, which is the only place they need to on a professional level, maybe X, Twitter as well, is astounding. So they just make sure you've got everything in order in your professional life. You don't have to be tweeting every day or doing LinkedIn articles about what you found in X, Y, and Z. But make sure you're present, make sure you're there, you're checking your messages. Most of the opportunities that you'll find will be through LinkedIn, and of course through checking your emails and whatnot. But yeah, you guys, you're in marketing. Apply what you'd apply to a business or a website. Apply that to your CV and your career, and you will see the same level of growth, 100%. And the good thing is, everyone who's in SEO has the potential to do that, because they're already doing it for their clients or the businesses they work for, their clients. So yeah, it's all about marketing. Just market yourself rather than your service.
Yeah, improve your personal branding and things, right? And now for a quick message from our sponsor, Search Intelligence. If you're looking for digital PR campaigns, what you're about to see should impress you.
Do you remember this campaign? It was all over the news. It is the most intelligent royal campaign. With over 100 links generated in the world's biggest online publications, this is one of the most viral PR campaigns of 2021. This is how we've done it. The methodology was pretty simple. We looked at the QS World University rankings for the institutions attended by key members of the royal family to discover which royal is the brightest of all. Meghan Markle came out on top, followed by Kate Middleton and Prince William. We put these findings in a press release and sent it to mainstream media and journalists who write about royals. From Russia to the UK, the US, Vietnam and Japan, this story got massive coverage, landing over 100 links and created a massive buzz on social media. Simple research, but a great story that journalists love to write about. I hope this will put you on fire and will give you inspiration.
So how are the best agencies and brands retaining their SEO and AI teams right now? Because there's quite a large kind of churn rate between employees and things. And even if you go into an SEO agency, a lot of people tend to find that they kind of outgrow that agency quite fast because of all the things that they're learning and adapting and moving on with and stuff. So that churn rate kind of feels naturally high. What are the best agencies and brands doing to hold on and retain those employees?
So there are kind of like the three main pillars of retaining people. You have kind of AI, the AI people that need to, they're working on new technology. They need to have the ability to keep up with the ever-changing, super quick moving industry that they're in. Make sure that you give them a budget, make sure their manager has a budget to give them new tools for them to test new versions of the models that have come out, which is super important. If people feel like their value is increasing whilst they're inside a business, they're not going to leave. If you have them on a certification, and this leads into kind of the other side of things, but if you have certifications or learning and development plans, they are so important for retaining people. If you can get someone on a year-long course in some kind of AI that with whatever provider you feel is necessary at the time, you're probably going to have that candidate for a year. Let's be honest, that employee is going to stay with you. Second to that is benefits. It's different for each manager or director, business owner, but work from home is a real big thing at the moment. With the pandemic and everything that happened, people want to work from home now. The amount of candidates I speak to on a day-to-day basis that are on the market because the work from home policy has changed is crazy. I know businesses that are recruiting people for the same salary that they were on before, but just because they provide extra flexibility. So there's no actual financial goal or target or incentive for the candidate. It's just the fact that, they can work from home as much as they used to. So that's a really important thing. And that obviously relating back to the course thing, make sure you've got learning and development offerings. Maybe sometimes these learning and development platforms will give credits for other courses. So in your professional life, you might have AI courses, but you might also want to learn Spanish. You might have access to things that can improve the rest of your life, and that's a really good thing as well. People like the financial incentives, obviously. I'd always recommend yearly salary reviews. If your business is growing, if you're able to optimize your business better in the terms of headcount because of the use of AI, make sure the people that are using that AI platform are benefiting too. And it's kind of your business you're bringing them up with your business. Let's put it that way. And finally, there's kind of one of the easiest things to retain good candidates is good managers. Is making sure you mentioned it earlier. Some people are introverted. Is the guy or girl or whatever? Are they in a situation at the moment where they could be good managers? Do I need to grow this person into a manager? maybe just ask them, would you rather be a single point of contribution, and we'll put you as a principal SEO specialist rather than a SEO team lead, that kind of thing. Communicate with your employees. They will tell you what they want. HR can help out massively in this. Obviously, I know a lot of agencies might outsource HR or have kind of, people that aren't focused on talent internally. But think outside of the box as a business owner, kind of, how can I make sure that I'm retaining these people? What do they want? Sit them down in a meeting and say, right, this year, what do you want? What are your personal goals? How can we help you improve in your personal life? Oh, I want to get a mortgage, or I want to learn this new thing, or, I want to relocate, and just really try and cater to them as much as you can within reason.
So what are some good interview questions for agencies and brands to be asking potential candidates, especially when they're trying to identify talent in SEO and AI?
So there's this, there's open questions and closed questions, which is something I'd apply to anything. There are a huge range of specific questions you can ask, but is the way of asking them which is most important. Instead of asking, do you use AI platforms? Because you're going to get yes, I do. Say, how do you use AI platforms? And then they're going to answer that question by going on a managed tangent about their day-to-day life, how they build kind of queries, and make sure every question you ask a candidate, within reason, of course, is as open as it can be. The interview, the first part of the interview should be about the owner or the manager explaining what they're looking for, what the business does, what the goals of the role are, what problem does this candidate solve for our business, that kind of thing. But then the next 45 minutes in that 1 hour interview, the candidate should be speaking all the time. The less you speak as a hiring manager, the better. Obviously, the way to do that is with open questions. Give them the opportunity to speak. Ask them for their opinion on things rather than if they use things. Say, we use these two different platforms. They're quite similar. Which one do you prefer and why? And then you'll get what you need. And with those open-ended questions, you'll understand how your candidates think, how they attack problems, how they communicate, importantly, how they kind of break things down. Could I put this person in front of a client if my account manager was ill that week? That kind of thing. So yeah, just try and keep your questions as open as possible.
I want to kind of jump over to the other side of the interview table and ask, as a candidate, obviously it's kind of quite daunting going into most interview rooms, especially when you look down the hallway and see 50 more clones of yourself kind of all in the same suit and things, looking just as petrified as you are, really, when you're walking into the waiting room. Exactly, yeah. And you're just kind of trying not to make eye contact with each other and things and stuff, right? What are some good ways for candidates to stand out in the interview phase, especially when it comes to SEO and AI candidates? Obviously, with AI, it's a bit easier because people either have got specialty or they don't. But with SEO, it is more broad, and generally, a lot of people are going into more generalized roles than specific like link building or on-page or digital PR roles. They're more general executive roles. How can they specifically kind of stand out in their SEO interview questions?
Yeah, I'd say espionage, maybe Home Alone, the Home Alone method with some laxatives in the waiting room and people's coffees. That might work. No. Practice makes perfect with interviews. You're always going to have good ones. You're always going to have bad ones. Don't let the bad ones switch you off. Accept as many interviews as you can. Interview with businesses that you're unsure about, because you can find out things that you may not have known from their website or from whichever recruiter spoke to you at the time. When it comes to how you act in those interviews, how you answer questions, it's very much based on the requirements that you're looking to fill. It's a real tough one. And that's why I say practice makes perfect, because each interview is going to be unique. Not every manager is going to be looking for an identical candidate. The interview you ace, you might apply method A to the last interview you had and it was amazing. and apply that same kind of method to your next interview, and it completely fall over. I think it's important to remember on both sides, as a candidate and a client, that you're dealing with people. People are not binary. People have good days, they have bad days. You have good interviews, you have bad interviews. Obviously, there are methods to answer questions, the STAR method, that sort of thing, where if you answer questions in a structured way, you describe the outcome, the conclusion, what you learn from it. That's always a good thing to do as well. Because, say, for example, if the first interview isn't with the hiring manager, it gives whoever's interviewing it, maybe HR or even a peer, it gives them a really good idea of kind of like, this person's quite intelligent. They are pointing me in the direction that they want me to go in. And as an interviewer, that saves me a job.
So in terms of career advice for people who are looking to get to a higher salary position, what kind of advice would you give to people? Is it about personal brand? Is it about skill sets? Is it about communication? Is it about going and interviewing with as many job opportunities? Is it about moving jobs regularly? What are the fundamentals that people in SEO can do so that they can try and achieve a higher salary and also be worthy of said higher salary as well?
Yeah. So when it comes to higher salaries, it's going to completely depend on the requirements or the budget of the hiring company. Obviously, if you are looking for the jobs that pay far more, you have to demonstrate the fact that you are the top 5% of people that have applied for that position, and you have to justify your worth to whoever is looking to recruit you. That's where you have to use kind of quantifiable measures of return on investment for anyone that's interviewing you, making sure that you can demonstrate the fact that you are looking for more money. They know that they know that you're going to get an increase, but you are going to make a good return on that investment. The good thing about SEO is it's a very quantifiable industry. There are percentages. There are stats. We've got Hrefs. We've got SEMrush. We have all of these different platforms which can provide information and data about our previous projects. Use those as much as possible. When it comes to increasing your salary, how should you treat your jobs? I wouldn't say moving too often is a good thing. Quite often, when I'm speaking to hiring managers, and this is for permanent employment, when I'm speaking to hiring managers, one of the most common issues or things that will turn them off a candidate is someone who's moved once a year. That's a classic requirement or bit of feedback is, looks like a great person, great CV, but they've moved once a year. This means in 12 months' time, I'm going to have to be replacing this person because they've, put their CV online and found something new. It's not very attractive. I would recommend at least 2 to 3 years in each role you have, and you're going to scale your career very well. On the other end of that, try not to stay in places for too long. I mean, once you're looking at double-digit years and that kind of thing, where you're likely going to find a massive increase from moving, because it's no surprise to anyone that moving does give you a larger salary increase than staying. But there's like an equilibrium. There's a balance. And I'd say the perfect thing is 4 years. If you've been in a company for 4 years, the hiring manager knows whoever ran this business that you were working for has assessed you to the point of no return. They have trusted you with everything. Maybe there's some career development internally where you become a senior or a team lead. And the hiring manager at the time isn't going to mind stretching the budget for that kind of person. The amount of conversations I have with hiring managers where they're like, oh, this person's, they're 5 or 10K over what we'd be looking to pay. It's a really easy discussion to have. You say, right, that's fine. But this person's been in their last business for 4 years. They've been promoted twice. The business before was clearly getting a lot of value out of them. This person can, I hate to use the cliche, hit the ground running kind of thing. And yeah, that's how it's done. Also, recruiters can help you scale your salary. Part of what we do is kind of negotiate on their behalf. We'll look for people's expectations and we'll map them to different jobs. If there's a real kind of star candidate and they're looking for X amount of money, there's something we can do, which is kind of like a speculative conversation with employers saying, right, this person's looking for X amount of money. This is their experience. This is why they're worth that. And I think it'd be really easy for you to hire them if you could provide that. That solves a lot of problems for business owners that have headcount, people that are looking to replace someone. Maybe someone handed in their notice in last month and they haven't had the chance yet to register a job and speak to a lot of recruiters. But yeah, additionally to that, I can't stress how important it is to be open to opportunities. Be open and honest about what your expectations are, but always pick up the call, let recruiters know that's fine. This is the money I'm looking for. Would they be interested? And don't close conversations. Rather than saying no, say yes, but and add your requirements there. And you're going to get a lot more opportunities to consider, a lot more hiring managers in front of you, which is the law of averages.
So make friends with your recruiters when you're on the call as much as possible, right? Go down the pub for a pint if possible with the recruiter.
Yeah. Coffee or beer, pick your poison kind of thing. Talk about who's recruiting at the moment. If you see a business that has 4 jobs that are similar to what you're looking for, the chances are if you could be the 5th. Reach out to the recruiter, reach out to the business owner and say, I notice you're recruiting quite a lot at the moment in the SEO team, the content writing team. I'm on the market. This is what I'm looking for. Are you interested? It's easier with a middleman, with a recruiter. Those direct conversations can happen as well.
How much does the creator economy kind of play into salary roles and demand and things like that, right? Does it kind of correlate where if you have got a bigger brand on LinkedIn and Twitter and maybe even YouTube and things like that, obviously without the controversial nature that a lot of people achieve those big profiles with, you want to keep it more PC and low key, right? Does that actually augment your salary significantly higher? Would it be advisable for people to start posting memes every day on X and LinkedIn and trying to get that follower count up?
Yeah, I think it's important. It's not the beginning and the end, of course. I'd say it's more relevant to the leadership roles and kind of the director positions. If you're in a scenario where you can attract candidates and kind of attract people or clients potentially to a business with your socials, it's massive. For those kind of partner roles, C-level positions, director of this, that, or whatever. Having good socials can be the extra bullet point or the extra thing which gets you the job over the next person that doesn't have it. Entry level, it's good to have a channel. Say if you are a junior candidate, you're a grad, it's the same thing. It's if you're looking for that first position, your CV probably doesn't have a lot on it. Your job in a pub, serving kind of pints on a Friday night, isn't as relevant as what you've been doing on Twitter, your opinions on stuff. Maybe you've helped out on a project, you've contributed to something, or you've done some, I know people hate it, kind of free work or some internship stuff. So it's at each end of the spectrum, super important. In the middle, not as much, I'd say.
I'd also say it's a bit more important for specific roles like digital PR and things and stuff, right? If you can walk into a digital PR agency and say, look, I've documented my journey of doing marketing or doing X, Y, and Z and being able to get 100,000 followers on TikTok or something like that, genuinely, they are a bit more impressed than, the average intern that they're going to be interviewing and things, right? So
exactly.
You will be able to demand it depending on the speciality, right?
To use kind of SEO terminology, they're trust signals, aren't they? For any kind of willing employer, it's trust and authority that you're demonstrating to someone. Where, right, I speak to these journalists are people that I've worked with for the past 5-10 years. They connect with me on a personal level. And throughout my career, like I've worked with them directly rather than them working with the company that I'm with. And there's massive value in that. Networking is good in any kind of job you go into. It's just if you're looking for that kind of internal promotion, it's not as relevant. If you're looking to move sideways or maybe in a mid-level role, it's not as important. But yeah, people especially love if you can be a technical candidate or a specialist or something where you don't interface with clients and you're able to demonstrate that that is potential that you have and you are a good communicator. It throws back to this kind of introvert versus extrovert thing where if you can demonstrate that if you can talk to clients, you can communicate well, you can tell a good story, you can break down complex SEO kind of concepts and ideas to business owners that aren't quite familiar. It's just going to be an additional plus to your profile. It's going to make you more hireable, you're worth more money, and those hiring managers, those directors will see that value. With the right recruiter, of course, the way that any good recruiter would do that is make sure that that is part of the introduction. When I'm speaking to a manager, if the socials are really sharp for a candidate, I'll say, you need to check out the socials as well, by the way, because this person's really good. And it's the difference between getting an interview or not in some cases.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Matt. I think you gave away a lot of tips there for people to hopefully earn more money with SEO, right? Is there anywhere people can find you online?
Yes, you can go to my my Twitter, which is GS Recruit AI, or you can go find me on LinkedIn, George Sunderland, which yeah, you can shoot me a message if you need any help.
I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.